Executive orders by the president are going to be arriving here very soon to help deal with these record high prices and inflation, and we're hearing it's very much so going to be needed because what is on the horizon. They're predicting it's not going to be good. This is your breaking news stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Now take a look at the headlines coming down. Former Federal Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke gives an economic warning. The former Federal Reserve Chair warns that the US could be heading for a period of stagflation, and we are at a 41-year high of inflation, record high gas and food prices. And there's an assortment of different proposals coming out. I shared with you yesterday. One of the ones that has hit is more stimulus checks, a $1,000. For the federal level check, take a look at the headline. Stimulus check update, representative purchase for $1,000 for every American over Ukrainian aid. In other words, that $40 billion that was supposed to go out to help out Ukraine has gotten blocked in the Senate by Senator Ron Paul. This is just one of the many proposals coming out for checks and other forms of legislation to help out domestically. We've also had gas stimulus checks, child tax credits, we've heard of baby formula stimulus checks and things to help out domestically with our economy. And this week, a bill that will set gas prices limits to prevent exploitative cost hikes is going to be heading to the House for a vote, and that is this week. Now we're hearing that all of this is very much so going to be needed because what they're predicting is around the corner. It's not looking good. The Russia-driven food shortage means that cereal and corn will start running out in 2023. That unwants what we're hearing is bread, pasta, cereal, and all of these products are likely not going to be on store shelves. And if they are, you're going to be paying a pretty high price to get a hold of these items. Now I'm going to be sharing with you in this article with the Biden administration is going to be saying about a three-pronged approach to addressing all of these issues and winning the November midterm elections. And yes, executive orders and action is a part of that three-pronged process to get things done. As we're hearing, legislation is not working to get things done. They can't get the 60 votes in the Senate to pass things through traditional means. They also can use the process of reconciliation because the Democratic Party, even though they are in full control, can unify amongst themselves, and we're hearing the only way there's going to be executive orders and executive actions. Take a look, you guys. We're going to be diving into this article in more detail. Biden's team sees few options on inflation before November midterms, so it's going to be executive orders and executive actions. So a link in the description below. There's a Reuters article that just came out yesterday that reads, the Biden administration is increasingly feeling that it has little control over inflation, officials are saying, and is looking for a way to offset the political risk from price hikes in the months leading up to the November elections. Now, data last week showed that inflation is still at a 40-year high, but it is likely off from earlier peaks. Now, the economy and Biden's handling of it. Those are the top two issues for voters right now, and lowering of the cost of meat, gas, and other household staples is going to be the key way that Biden and his fellow Democrats can defend their control in Congress. And November's midterm election strategists say now these are going to be the top two things, the economy and the way Biden is handling it, and if they can address those issues, they might have a chance to stay in control. Take a look at any US president's ability to cut prices in the short term in global markets for products from oil and grains is limited. White House advisors are saying influence over supply chain bottlenecks related to China's pandemic shutdowns and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which are both driving up prices, are even further out of reach out of their control. They say the administration expects inflation to ease further from its recent breakneck pace as the year progresses, advisor says, but not to levels that would be deemed acceptable. So the good news is they're thinking that inflation is going to be slowing down. But the bad news for Biden Democrats is not to a rate as they said that people will find acceptable. We are still going to be dealing with inflation. Now, in response to the White House, which until recently expected inflation surge, as transitory has developed a three-pronged strategy. So these are the 3 things they're going to be doing to help address all of these issues. Number 1, they're going to act as aggressively as can on prices. If things like it can impact on merchants. So number 1 is addressing these issues aggressively, attacking them, and we're hearing executive orders and executive actions. Stay with me. They're going to be talking about this in just a second. Number 2, stress the role of Russian President Vladimir Putin and the pandemic, making sure the focus of the cost is on those and not on stimulus packages and Biden's agenda. And the number 3, attack Republicans suggest that the economic policies could be worse than the ones that are currently in place. Let me know your thoughts. But they're saying this is a strategy. These 3 things that they're going to be doing now, we will see if they can pull this off, if they can convince voters of this, and if they can address the issues by passing executive orders and actions to help our people, if they're going to be able to stay in power. Now it says the untested shift in messaging comes after some Democrats told White House study was too slow to take political problems of inflation seriously. Democrats say it's too early right now to tell if their new messaging, their three-pronged approach, will sway voters to keep them in favor. If they address these issues through executive orders and actions, will that convince you to vote in their favor in these upcoming elections? There was some over-promising and under-delivering we have heard. Now the messaging is more realistic. Now political strategists say that it's important for President Joe Biden to communicate empathy and action, even in the absence of good options, as an otherwise divided Republican Party unites around attacking the president over what they call buy inflation. They need to communicate that families are struggling, but here's what we're going to be doing about it. Now Republicans blame Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan and other policies are driving up inflation. Although prices started to jump before he took office, and the phenomenon has been a global phenomenon. Now executive orders and messaging for its part, Biden's White House had criticized companies for taking home record profits and making stock buybacks while charging high prices. It has also tried to increase competition in the industries like meatpacking, partnered with the retailers to ensnare supply chain at ports and railways and release oil from strategic reserve to try to push down those prices. The White House strategy ahead of the November 8 elections is to identify and use as many executive actions as possible to provide relief to the American struggling people with high costs. So you guys, there you have it, as many executive orders and actions as they can do to deal with these issues. We're hearing they're going to be on the way, so an abundance of executive actions are right around the corner, and as they roll out, I'll be sure to keep you up to date. Now we will see what we've heard in the coming weeks. One of the first ones is going to be student loan debt forgiveness, and we just read that their plan in this three-pronged process to attack this and stay in power is to start dishing out tons of executive orders and actions. And like I said, as these roll out, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel.